Arch Rogue's first test. The Arch Rogue was a conjurer. He was so clever that he could take things away from people right under their noses. The king came to know of him. Failing to catch him, he proclaimed that he wished him to perform his miracles of making things disappear for the king's pleasure. The man presented himself in the court. The king said he would reward him with a post in the court if he succeeded the tests. Otherwise, he would be punished. The rogue took up the challenge. The first one being to take away a peasant's oxen and plough without his knowledge. The rogue lured the peasant into the forest on a stormy morning, and while he was away, he cut the tails and horns of his oxen and planted them in a furrow. He brought the oxen and plough to the king. The poor peasant thought his oxen and plough had got burnt by a lightning strike. The second test. The next task the king set the rogue was to steal his favorite charger from the royal stables. The king placed guards around the stables and alerted the master of the horse to ride the horse himself and to sneeze to alert the guards in case of danger. The rogue disguised himself as the master of the royal chambers and went to the stables carrying a large pitcher of wine. He told the guards that the rogue had been caught and they should celebrate with a little wine. He himself drank wine with the master of the horse. All the guards and the master of the horse fell asleep. The rogue rode off with the horse. When the king arrived in the morning, he was amazed to see his horse gone and all the guards asleep. He was very angry. But just then, the rogue returned, riding his horse. The king had to admit he had succeeded. The third test. The third test was more difficult, for the rogue had to get the wedding ring of the queen. The king was sitting next to her bed to guard her. The rogue got a dead body from the prison and wrapped it up in his own clothes. Then he placed a ladder against the window of the queen's chamber. At about 2 o'clock in the night, he flung the body down from the ladder. There was a great commotion, and everyone ran to see who had fallen. The king, too, left his chair and ran to the window to peer out and ask his guards below. Meanwhile, the rogue entered the queen's chamber and said in the king's voice, "The rogue had fallen off the ladder and died. Nonetheless, I think that it will be better if I keep your wedding ring safely with me tonight." The queen gave him the ring, thinking he was the king. The rogue's reward. As the rogue went away, the king returned to the chamber. "The rogue is dead," he announced. "I know that," replied the queen. "How do you know it?" asked the king. You just told me, didn't you? She said. And you took my wedding ring too. The king was shocked. How did the rogue manage it, despite his own presence? Early morning, the rogue arrived and, bowing deeply, he presented the ring to the queen. Then he told the king of the trick he had played to get the queen's ring. The king burst out laughing. I must reward you, he said, and made him the royal conjurer. But he admonished him not to carry his jokes too far, or he would lose the king's favor, and that would be very dangerous for him. So the rogue became a courtier in the king's court.
Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.